Good afternoon, everyone. So this is the Loop podcast. Um, no guest today. The reason why there's no guest today is I want to talk about a personal experience I'm having that many golfers probably, or not probably, but many golfers will have. And I just figured I'd give you my unique perspective on it. It's total knee replacement. Um, it's January now. It's actually February now, but I had it done in January. January 21st, to be exact. I am a little more than 3 weeks out from the surgery, and I just want to talk about my experience with it and just things that I've been online, I've been on YouTube, and there's a lot of you see a lot of doctors out there talking about stuff, but there's a lot of stuff they don't tell you, and I wanted to just kind of get it out there. So to go back to the beginning, I've had arthritis in my left knee for a while, and I've been dragging it around for about 3 years. And when you're playing golf, I'm a left-handed player, so my left knee is my back leg, and to transition the weight sometimes just doesn't happen because your leg is damaged and you can't do it. So this was a well-calculated surgery, and I went to my doctor in late October, early November, and I said, look, I want to get this done because I want to be able to play golf when for next summer. I live in the Northeast, so winter is typically off season. And this year, we got about 3 feet of snow on the ground, so nobody's golfing outside. So anyway, that's when he got back with the schedule on January 21st. So I said, okay, if I do the surgery on January 21st, what is the likelihood that I'll be playing golf in mid-April? That's typically when we start. And the doctor said, really no reason why I wouldn't be able to do that. Made it kind of sound like no big deal. So I was like, okay. Now, first of all, I don't know if you know what a total knee replacement is as far as a surgery, but it's probably one of the most aggressive surgeries you can have. People don't really get into it, but basically what they do is they take your kneecap, they cut your knee, probably about an 8 and 10 inch cut along your knee. They open it up and they flip over your kneecap, and then they proceed to take your ACL and your PCL, the ligaments that cross in your knee. They take those out, and they also remove the meniscus and things that are in there as well. And then they cut your thigh bone, and they cut your leg bone so that they can attach the new joint. They call it a prosthetic, the prosthetic joint to your leg. So they literally cut your bone, and then they hammer this thing into your bone, and they do the same with the lower part, and they screw it in the screws in the lower part. So now you have you have a hinge in your knee, but none of the tendons in there are there, and none of the meniscus and internal cartilage, all that stuff is removed. The good news about that is literally as soon as I woke up from my surgery, which by the way, the surgery itself, by the time I was put out to the time I woke up was maybe a little over an hour, which is crazy. So I was coming out of the operating room, the doors opened, I woke up. I noticed immediately that the pain, the nagging arthritic pain that I had in my knee was gone, which is kind of unusual considering that, my knee just got completely operated on. And, I had this big long gash on my knee, but the first thing I thought of was that pain's gone, which was, liberating. It's like, wow, that pain's gone. That pain has been with me for 3 years. Every waking moment of the day, it was gone. So that alone makes it worth it. So that was day one, coming out of the operating room. The pain's not too bad, honestly, when you're done, because what they do is they put a nerve blocker that kind of numbs everything up around the knee, and that nerve blocker lasts for like 48 hours. So you go home. I went home that same day. That day was fine. I went to bed. I slept fine. They give you some pain meds like oxycodone, which I took because, I just didn't want to be in a situation where I was chasing the pain. So I started taking that. Um, the first couple days weren't bad at all because of that nerve blocker. The third day, the nerve blocker wore off. That day was very painful. And that day I was like, now I know why I have these oxycodone pills. They were needed. Um, but after that third day, things got a lot better. Tylenol, which is one of the pain meds they prescribe, over the counter Tylenol, 500 milligram, two of those. I've never really taken Tylenol in my life. That stuff really works. Takes the pain right away. So within like the fourth day, I think I had the surgery on a Wednesday. By Monday, I was no longer taking the oxycodone. I didn't need it. Tylenol was doing the trick. Um, so the other thing that's the most painful part that nobody's told you about, and I've watched tons of videos and stuff like that, when they do this surgery, and I'm not sure if they do it for everybody, but the surgery I had, they put a tourniquet around your leg. And they actually showed me the tourniquet before they put me out. And this tourniquet, they must really, really crank up because the most pain I had, the most painful part of the whole surgery was my upper thigh, where the tourniquet squeezed my leg so that it cuts blood flow off to the knee so that when they open it up, they don't have to deal with all the blood because it's some pretty major arteries that go through there. So the tourniquet itself, they must really, really crank it up. I mean, you're out cold, you don't know. But by the time you wake up and that nerve block wears off, this major, major pain coming out of your thigh. And like I said, I'm a little bit past the third week, 3 weeks and 2 days. I still have pain on my thigh from that tourniquet. It's, not even close to what it was, but it's still there. Um, so once you get past those first couple days, and like I said, the number one thing is the tourniquet. And by the way, that tourniquet on the back of my leg produced a bruise that was literally 3 feet long. They didn't tell you about that either. Um, but now I'm in the point where I've been doing physical therapy. Started right away the first week. Internal people came to my house. It was doing we're doing physical therapy. Now this is another thing they don't tell you. So right away, the two most important things they want you to do is to be able to straighten your leg and bend your leg. Now, obviously, you just had surgery. You're not going to be able to do that very well, but it's very quickly where they're trying to get you to that point where you can straighten your leg and bend your leg. The problem is your leg is like a balloon. So if I was to give advice, I would say the number one thing you want to do coming out of knee surgery is to really, really concentrate on the swelling. I have an ice machine. It's like a wrap that goes around my knee. The ice circulates. Um, that works pretty well. But the other thing that I think works really well is elevating your leg. So I get on the couch and I put my leg up on the edge of the couch so that my knee is actually higher than my heart, and I kind of hang out there for, I don't know, like a good half hour at least. And I do that 3 times a day. And I find when I do that and I go to bed at night, when I wake up the next day, my knee is down. But what happens is, so then the PT people come in, they start banging away at your leg, trying to get it to straighten out and bend. You swell up again. So, and like I said, a little over 3 weeks, it's a constant battle between reducing the swelling and straighten the knee out, reduce the swelling, straighten the knee out. And it's it's not easy. You got to get your mindset to a point where it's going to be a slow process. They told me April I'd be playing golf. Um, at this point in time, it's the middle of February. Um, unless I drastically reduce my swelling and drastically increase the movement of my knee, I don't see that happening. But hopefully, I mean, I'm late years where I was 3 weeks ago. All I need for getting around is this cane right here. Um, but being able to golf is kind of I don't know. It's also mental, because you know that you just had this, and they took an X-ray at I think it was right around 3 weeks. It was earlier this week. Yeah, earlier this week I went to the doctor and they took an X-ray, and you can see the new implants in there. Mentally, the thought of swinging a golf club and twisting your leg, to get that distance, it's kind of like you know that there's screws in there, you know that it's a new thing. The last thing you want to do is damage this thing because you don't want to go under the knife and have to do it again. So I think that the mental hurdle of getting to the golf swing when I get to that point is going to be difficult. Um, but we'll see. I mean, I can tell you right now, it's difficult. The other thing too is when this is just like psychological stuff, but it's winter and we've had a tough winter. It's been cold, really, really cold, and we've had a lot of snow. Um, the fact that I'm indoors every day, I work from my house. I'm inside working. I'm really not leaving the house much, and it's like a cycle where I get up and I do my exercise, and I try to work on my swelling, and I do my job, and you're in this pattern where it's like, you don't have sunshine on your face, you're not feeling the warmth, you're not getting out. It it kind of it brings you down a little bit. You're kind of you just get in this down mode just because it's a slow process and you're nowhere near where you want to be. So you got to get the mental strength to just say, okay, accept the fact that it's a slow roll and it's going to be a day-to-day process. It's kind of like doing anything, but like you're trying to get better at golf, and you're out there every day and you're chipping and you're putting and you're doing it every day. But you don't sit there and say, "Wow, I'm a way better chipper and putter than I was when I started," because you don't notice the changes because you're doing it every day. But when you get out on the golf course, all of a sudden you're not taking as many strokes as you did before because you're getting up and down because you've been doing nothing but practice and chipping and putting. It's kind of like that where I'm doing slow increments every day. Um, I see the PT guy a couple times a week, and every time he shows up, he's like, "Wow, you have a lot more range of motion. Your angles are better. Your numbers are better." I don't feel like it because I'm doing the same stuff, and the swelling and the working on the swelling coming down, and the swelling and the working on it coming down. It's repetitive. It's monotonous. It's a long day, and this is the other thing they don't tell you: when the PT guy comes and they beat the crap out of you, basically trying to get that knee back where it needs to be, and you swell up and stuff, and you go through this whole process. All of a sudden, I think it's because your body is just like in heal mode, and it sends everything it has to your knee. All of a sudden, about 7:30, quarter of eight, you can barely keep your eyes open. And I think it's because all the energy in your body is going to heal this trauma that occurred when they fixed your knee. So that was kind of surprising. They don't tell you about that either. There's a lot of things they don't tell you. Just it's just mainly getting in the mindset of one day at a time, and eventually, I'm hoping as the weather gets better, my knee will be a lot better. Um, but it's a struggle. I am looking forward to maybe I might start like by chipping, just chip a little bit, putt a little bit. Hopefully around the beginning of April, see how that feels, and but it's a long way to go, and it's a long road, and you really got to have a day to day mental mindset. So anyway, hopefully this is helpful to anyone who's deciding to do it. If anyone said to me, "Would you do you regret it? Would you not do it again if you had to?" No. The fact that I woke up and that pain in my knee was gone, that I've been dragging around for the last 3+ years, it was worth it alone. I know that's the other thing is I know the pain that I have right now in my knee is due to the fact that it had a major surgery there, and I know that it will go away. I do see improvement. The pain itself, I would say, with the exception of the day that the the nerve block wore off, on a scale of 1 to 10, that pain has been about maybe at the most a 6. It's very manageable if you stay on top of your Tylenol and your anti-inflammatory stuff. You stay on top of that every day. You stick to that regimen. For me, it wasn't painful. It wasn't overly painful. Now, I was an athlete growing up. I played sports. I played football. I played hockey. I've been hurt before, I've been injured. I've had to come back. I've had PT, things like that. So as an athlete, I think there's a certain level of pain that just being an athlete over the years, it hurts and you just deal with it. So I think that athletes have an advantage in the sense that it's there, you're going to be in pain. So your mindset is, I'll just deal with this until it gets better. And that's what you do, you deal with it. And that's why I think for me, it wasn't the end of the world pain. It was just, it's annoying. It's annoying and it's there all the time. And, it slowly gets better, but then it comes back when you push it too hard and PT. It's just a vicious circle like that. But um, for non-athletes, I mean, I can see, people that aren't used to being in pain. Yeah, it's probably where you hear the horror stories about how it's the worst thing they've ever done. Probably because they've never really done it before. But if anyone who's played a contact sport or been in a sport where, you hurt a knee and you had to do a PT or a shoulder or what have you, this pain is similar to that, in that you just deal with it because you know it's going to get better. In any event, like I said, a little over 3 weeks. I will check back in around the mid-April time frame. Let you know where I'm at. Let you know if the prediction of can I play golf or not happen. We'll see. I'm optimistic, but then again, like I said, I think there's going to be a physical component. Can I do it? And then there's going to be a mental component. Do I trust myself to do it? So we'll see how that goes, and we'll check in at that point. Have a great day, everyone. This is the Loop Podcast. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. Next week, I'll have another guest. But for this week, I just couldn't get the guest on there. I had a tough week PT wise. It kind of wiped me out a little bit. So I decided to skip the guest, tell you about the experience, and hopefully this will give you some insight. Have a great day, everyone. Talk soon.